The sun was setting over the frozen landscape of Europa when everything changed for humanity. Dr. Han Jiwoo rubbed her tired eyes and reached for her sixth cup of coffee. The research station was quiet except for the low hum of computers and the occasional beep from monitoring equipment. Just another hour, she told herself. As the lead xenolinguist for the Europa research station, Han had spent 3 years searching for signs of alien communication. Most of her colleagues had given up hope, but Han remained stubborn in her belief that humans were not alone in the universe. The computer terminal in front of her suddenly flashed red. Han nearly spilled her coffee as she sat up straight. The signal detection system had activated. This was not a drill or a test. System, verify signal origin, Han said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Signal origin verified, not from Earth or any known human settlement. Signal appears to be coming from outside the solar system, the computer replied. Han's fingers flew across the keyboard as she began running analysis programs. The signal pattern was unlike anything in their database. It repeated with mathematical precision that could only be artificial. Wake Dr. Kim and Director Choi, Han instructed the computer. Tell them we have a Code Omega situation. Within minutes, the quiet research station became a flurry of activity. Scientists who had been sleeping moments before rushed to their stations, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. Director Choi entered the main lab, his gray hair disheveled from sleep. Tell me this is real, Han, he said. It's real, she confirmed. And I think I can decode it. For the next 12 hours, Han worked without breaks. Her colleagues brought her food and fresh coffee, but she barely noticed. The pattern was complex but followed logical rules. By applying various linguistic algorithms and quantum computing analysis, Han began to make sense of the message. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Get me a direct line to Earth Defense Headquarters, Han told Director Choi. Now. 3 days later, Captain Kim Dae-hyun stood at attention in the Global Defense Council chamber. The massive underground facility beneath Old Seoul had been built to withstand any disaster, natural or man-made. Today it felt too small for the weight of the news being delivered. Captain Kim, thank you for coming on such short notice, said Council Chair Lee Min-soo. The elderly statesman gestured for Dae-hyun to sit. What you are about to hear is classified at the highest level. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the round table. Dr. Han Ji-woo's face looked even more tired than when Dae-hyun had last seen her 2 years ago. They had dated briefly before their careers had pulled them in different directions. Hello, Captain, Han said with a small nod of recognition. 3 days ago, my team intercepted a transmission from deep space. After decoding it, we confirmed it was a message intended for Earth. The hologram shifted to show strange symbols that slowly transformed into Earth text. The message comes from a civilization calling themselves the Galactic Imperium, Han continued. They have been watching us for centuries. They have decided that our solar system is now ready for what they call integration into their empire. Dae-hyun felt his stomach tighten. An invasion? They don't call it that, Han replied. They use terms like cultural enrichment and technological uplifting. But yes, Captain, it's an invasion with nice words. Council Chair Lee cleared his throat. The aliens have given us 30 days to prepare for their arrival. They expect us to welcome them as saviors and superior beings. General Kang Ji-hye, head of the Global Defense Forces, spoke next. Her voice was hard as steel. Intelligence suggests the Imperium has conquered thousands of worlds. History shows resistance has been futile. Dae-hyun studied the translated message displayed before them. Something didn't add up. May I speak freely? He asked. Lee nodded. If they're so powerful, why give us warning? Why not just arrive and take what they want? Han's hologram smiled slightly. That's exactly what I've been asking. I've analyzed their transmission thoroughly. There's something strange about it. She pulled up new data charts. The Imperium's technology is advanced, yes, but they're not as overwhelming as they want us to believe. They're using a form of faster-than-light travel that we theorized 20 years ago but abandoned when we discovered quantum entanglement. They don't know about our quantum technology? Daehyun asked. It appears not, Han confirmed. Their message was sent using conventional subspace communication. They don't seem to know we developed quantum communication a decade ago. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. They're bluffing, Daehyun said finally. They want us to surrender without a fight because they're not sure they can win one. General Kang looked skeptical. That's a dangerous assumption, Captain. But a possible one, Han countered. The Imperium relies heavily on fear tactics. Their entire message is designed to make us feel hopeless before they even arrive. Daehyun stood up and walked to the holographic display. May I? Han nodded and stepped aside virtually as Daehyun manipulated the display to show Earth's current defense capabilities. Our quantum entanglement shields are undetectable to anyone not using the same technology. Our phase-shift weapons can target objects in regular space while remaining in quantum flux. We've been preparing for alien contact for 50 years. Council Chair Lee stroked his chin thoughtfully. Are you suggesting we fight this Galactic Imperium, Captain? I'm suggesting we don't show all our cards at once, Daehyun replied. If they don't know about our quantum technology, that gives us an advantage. Han's hologram nodded enthusiastically. We could appear technologically primitive while secretly preparing our defenses. Make them overconfident. For the first time, General, Kang looked interested rather than doubtful. A trap. Exactly, Daehyun confirmed. We make them think we're easy prey. Then we show them why they should have chosen another planet to bully. Council Chair Lee stood up slowly, his old joints creaking with the movement. This is a dangerous game you're proposing. If we're wrong about their capabilities, humanity could pay the ultimate price. And if we surrender without trying? Daehyun asked quietly. What kind of humans would we be? The room fell silent again. Finally, Lee nodded. Captain Kim, you will work with Dr. Han to develop this strategy. General Kang will provide whatever military resources you need. This meeting never happened. As the council members filed out, Han's hologram remained. When they were alone, she smiled at Daehyun. Just like old times, she said. You always did like the risky plans. Daehyun returned her smile. This is beyond risky, Jiwoo. This is humanity's biggest gamble. 30 days, to prepare for an alien invasion, Han said, shaking her head in disbelief. I always wanted to find aliens, I just never thought they'd be coming to conquer us. They can try, Daehyun replied, his jaw set with determination. But humanity doesn't surrender easily, and we have a few surprises for our new galactic friends. The fate of Earth now rested in their hands. 30 days to prepare. 30 days to turn the tables on an enemy that had never known defeat. The clock was ticking. The Global Defense Council room was filled with tense voices. 24 days remained until the Galactic Imperium arrived, and Earth's leaders could not agree on a plan. We should show our full strength immediately, said General Kang Ji-hye, pounding her fist on the table. A strong first impression might make them reconsider. Council Chair Lee Min-soo shook his head. And if our strength is not enough, we reveal our hand and lose any advantage of surprise. The argument had been going in circles for hours. Captain Kim Daehyun stood quietly in the corner, watching the world's most powerful people debate humanity's fate. A new voice cut through. The noise. What if we show them what they expect to see? All heads turned toward the door. A man in a rumpled lab coat stood there, his hair sticking up as if he had just rolled out of bed. Despite his messy appearance, everyone in the room knew Dr. Park Jun-ho. The physicist had revolutionized quantum technology 15 years ago, making him the most important scientist on Earth. Dr. Park, Lee said with surprise, we didn't expect you to join us. I go where interesting problems are, Park replied, walking to the center of the room. He picked up a digital marker and began drawing on the holographic display. The Imperium expects to find a primitive species. They expect us to use radio waves and chemical rockets. They expect us to be afraid. He turned to face the council. So let's give them exactly what they expect. Daehyun stepped forward, intrigued. A deception. The greatest one in human history, Park confirmed with a small smile. We make Earth appear technologically primitive while secretly preparing an unprecedented defense system. For the next hour, Park outlined his plan. By the end, even General Kang seemed convinced. It could work, she admitted, but it will require perfect coordination. And absolute secrecy, added Li. Among billions of humans, only a select few can know the truth. Daehyun was assigned to work with Dr. Han Jiwoo to implement the plan. The next day, they met at the hidden quantum research facility beneath Mount Pektu. Good to see you again, Han said as they walked through the massive underground complex. Though I wish it were under better circumstances. Saving the world from alien invasion wasn't on my 5-year plan either, Daehyun replied, with a small smile. They reached a sealed door labeled Project Phantom. Dr. Park was already inside, working with a team of engineers on what looked like a fighter spacecraft, but unlike any Daehyun had seen before. Captain Kim. Park greeted him without looking up from his work. How much do you know about quantum mechanics? Enough to fly the ships, not enough to build them, Daehyun admitted. Park nodded. That's all you need. These are quantum shift fighters. They can exist in multiple states simultaneously. Or to put it simply, they can be in 2 places at once or nowhere at all. Daehyun walked around the sleek craft. How many do we have? 50 prototypes now, Park said. We need 500 in 20 days. Han whistled. That's impossible. So, is defeating an alien empire, Park replied with a shrug. Yet here we are. While Daehyun began training pilots in the new quantum fighters, Han focused on creating a false communication system. She worked with a team of programmers to build what they called the Puppet Network. The idea is simple, she explained to Li during a progress briefing. We create a fake global communication system using outdated technology. When the Imperium monitors us, they'll see what appears to be our main communication channels. Meanwhile, our real communications will happen through quantum channels they can't detect, Li concluded. Exactly, Han confirmed. To them, we'll look like we're barely more advanced than the early digital age. The deception extended to every aspect of human civilization. Military bases appeared to power down their defenses. Space stations reduced their activity to minimal levels. News channels began broadcasting stories about the exciting first contact opportunity and the cultural exchange to come. Behind this peaceful facade, humanity prepared for war. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, engineers activated the quantum shield network. On the far side of the moon, technicians armed the Phantom Array. Within the clouds of Jupiter, Earth's largest warships moved into hiding positions, cloaked by quantum fields. 15 days before the Imperium's arrival, Daehyun met with his fighter, squadron commanders. Each of you will lead 20 pilots, he told the group of stern-faced men and women. You've been chosen because you mastered quantum navigation faster than anyone else. He brought up a holographic display of the solar system. We will position fighter groups here, here, and here, he said, pointing to areas near Earth, Mars, and Jupiter. You will remain in quantum flux until the signal is given. A young commander raised her hand. Sir, how long might we need to maintain quantum flux? It was a good question. Keeping a ship in quantum flux, essentially half existing in multiple realities, was mentally exhausting for pilots. Hours, possibly, Daehyun admitted. This won't be easy, but remember what we're fighting for. As the meeting ended, Daehyun received an urgent message to report to the council chamber. When he arrived, he found Han already there, looking worried. We have a problem, she said. The Imperium sent a new message. They're arriving early. Li's face was grim. 10 days early, they'll be here in less than a week. Why? Daehyun asked. Did they detect our preparations? Han shook her head. I don't think so. My analysis suggests they're testing us, changing plans suddenly to see how we react. A psychological tactic, General Kang said. They want to catch us unprepared. Park, who had been quietly listening, finally spoke. Are we ready? The room fell silent as everyone considered the question. The quantum shield is functional, Kang said, but only at 80% capacity. The fighters need more training time, Daehyun added. And my fake communication network isn't fully deployed, Han said with a frown. Park looked at each of them, then shrugged. Then we work faster. Sleep is optional for the next 5 days. What about the public? Lee asked. How do we explain the sudden change? We don't, Park replied. The fewer people who know about the schedule change, the better. Let the public continue to prepare for the original arrival date. Lee nodded slowly. Very well. As of this moment, we are on highest alert. May whatever gods might be watching over us show humanity favor. As the council members dispersed, Daehyun and Han remained behind. Do you think this will work? Han asked, quietly. Daehyun took a deep breath. It has to. Because there's no plan B. Han reached out and squeezed his hand briefly. Then I'll see you on the other side of this, Captain Kim. Count on it, Dr. Han, he replied with more confidence than he felt. As they left the chamber, the largest secret operation in human history accelerated. All across the solar system, humanity's defenders worked against time to prepare for the arrival of the Galactic Imperium. The greatest test in human history was about to begin. The day humanity had been preparing for finally arrived. From his position on the hidden lunar base, Admiral Jang Hyuk watched his display screen with focused calm. Years of military service had taught him to control his emotions. But even he felt a flutter of anxiety as the sensors detected activity at the edge of the solar system. They're here, his second-in-command whispered. Jang nodded. Begin recording. I want every detail of their arrival documented. The Imperium fleet appeared with theatrical grandeur. First, a single massive ship emerged from what looked like a tear in space itself. Then another, and another. Soon thousands of ships filled the view screen, arranged in perfect geometric patterns that seemed designed to intimidate. Send the alert to Earth, Jang ordered, but maintain quantum silence. Remember, as far as they know, we can only use radio communications. In the Global Defense Council chamber beneath Seoul, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Council Chair Lee Min-soo stood before the main screen, watching the Imperium fleet's arrival alongside General Kang, Dr. Park, Captain Kim, and Dr. Han. Magnificent, Park murmured, studying the alien ships. Their drive technology is impressive, though not as advanced as they want us to believe. Look at their formation, Daehyun pointed out. It's unnecessarily complex. They're showing off. Han nodded. Psychological warfare. They want to overwhelm us before a single shot is fired. The largest ship in the alien fleet, a structure nearly the size of Earth's moon, positioned itself between Earth and Mars. Its surface glittered with lights that pulsed in hypnotic patterns. Their flagship, General Kang said. Arrogant of them, to place it so prominently. Or confident, Lee replied quietly. The main screen flickered and a new image appeared. The being on the screen appeared almost human, but with subtle differences that betrayed its alien nature. Its skin had a bluish tint, and its eyes were slightly too large and too far apart. When it spoke, its mouth moved in ways that did not quite match the words. People of Earth, the alien said in perfect, unaccented English. I am High Commander Vex of the Galactic Imperium. We have come to welcome you into our civilization. Lee stepped forward. I am Council Chair Lee Min-soo, representing the United Governments of Earth. We are honored by your arrival. The alien's expression did not change, but something like amusement flickered in its large eyes. The honor is yours indeed. We have studied your world for many cycles. Your technological development has reached the minimum threshold for integration. You should be proud. We are, Lee said, forcing humility into his voice. We have much to learn from the Imperium. Yes, Vex agreed. You do. We require an immediate meeting with your leadership council. Prepare a delegation to board our vessel. Within 6 of your Earth hours. You will receive further instructions then. The screen went dark before Lee could respond. Charming fellow, Park muttered. Lee turned to face the others. We proceed as planned. The diplomatic team will go, carrying the quantum nodes as arranged. Dae-hyun stepped forward. I should go with them. No, Lee said firmly. You are too valuable to our military response. If anything goes wrong, we need you here. Besides, Han added, I'm going. Someone needs to analyze their language patterns and technology up close. Dae-hyun looked at her with concern. It's too dangerous. Han smiled slightly. According to our plan, this is the safest part. We go, we act impressed, we plant the quantum nodes, and we return. Simple. Nothing about this is simple, Dae-hyun replied, but he did not argue further. For the next 5 hours, the diplomatic team prepared. Each member was carefully chosen, scientists, diplomats, and a few military officers, disguised as administrative staff. Each person carried a quantum entanglement node hidden in items that would appear harmless. Jewelry, writing implements, even artificial joint replacements that would be undetectable to most scanning technology. Han wore a simple pendant that contained the most advanced node. As the team's xenolinguist, she would likely be granted the most access to the alien ship's communication systems. As the delegation prepared to board the transport shuttle, Lee addressed them one final time. Remember, your training. Appear respectful, even awed by their technology. Ask questions, but not too many. The success of our plan depends on convincing them of our technological inferiority. The shuttle journey to the Imperium flagship took 30 minutes. Han spent the time observing the massive alien vessel growing larger in the viewports. The ship's design was organic, almost like a living creature, with sections that seemed to pulse and shift. Fascinating, she murmured, making notes on her tablet. Their ship design philosophy is completely different from ours. When the shuttle docked with the flagship, the delegation was met by a group of aliens similar to Commander Vex. They were tall, with the same bluish skin and oversized eyes. Their uniforms were ornate, covered with symbols that Han suspected indicated rank and position. Welcome to the Heart of Unity, one of the aliens said. I am Sub-Commander Lax. Please follow me. The interior of the ship was even more impressive than its exterior. Corridors stretched in impossible directions, with gravity shifting subtly as they walked. Lights pulsed along the walls in patterns that seemed to communicate information. Han activated her pendant with a subtle touch, allowing it to begin mapping the ship's layout. Their final destination was a large chamber with a circular table. Commander Vex sat at what was clearly the head position, with other high-ranking aliens around him. Sit, he commanded, gesturing to the empty seats. As the Earth delegation took their places, Han noticed how the aliens watched them with clinical interest, as if observing laboratory specimens. You have questions, Vex stated rather than asked. You may present them. Lee spoke first, his voice appropriately deferential. We are curious about the integration process. What will it entail for Earth? Your planet will be assigned a developmental category, Vex explained. Based on our observations, you will likely be Category 3, a species with basic spaceflight capability, but lacking true understanding of cosmic principles. And what does Category 3 status mean for us? Lee asked. You will receive technological upgrades over time as you prove worthy. Your resources will be harvested to support the greater Imperium. Your people will be studied for useful genetic traits. Vex said this as if describing nothing more important than a weather report. Han carefully activated another function of her pendant, recording and analyzing Vex's speech patterns. Meanwhile, the other delegation members were asking questions about Imperium history, governance, and technology, all designed to keep the aliens talking while the quantum nodes gathered data. Your species seems unusually calm about this process, Vex observed suddenly, fixing his large eyes on Lee. Most new acquisitions show more distress. Lee smiled politely. We have always believed we are not alone in the universe. Meeting you confirms this belief. Why would we be distressed? Vex studied him for a moment. Indeed. Perhaps you are more advanced psychologically than we anticipated. He stood abruptly. We have talked enough. You will return to Earth now. In 24 of your hours, we will begin the first phase of integration. Be prepared to disable your primitive defense systems as a show of good faith. As the delegation returned to their shuttle, Han felt the weight of what was coming. The Imperium clearly expected no resistance. They had no idea what humanity had prepared. On the return journey, she checked her pendant. The quantum nodes had mapped significant portions of the flagship's systems. The data was already being transmitted through quantum channels to Earth's Defense Command. Did you get what we needed? Lee asked quietly. Han nodded. Every word, every system we passed. They never suspected a thing. Lee looked out at the massive alien fleet surrounding them. Then may whatever gods exist help them, he said softly, because humanity certainly won't. The 24-hour deadline was almost up. In the command center beneath Seoul, Earth's leaders gathered around a holographic display of the solar system. Thousands of red dots represented the Imperium fleet, surrounding Earth in a perfect sphere of potential destruction. All teams report ready, General Kang announced. She stood tall and confident, though she had not slept in over 30 hours. Dr. Park Junho looked up from his console, where he had been making final adjustments to the quantum defense grid. The shield network is fully operational. Quantum entanglement, stable at 100%. Council Chair Lee nodded gravely. Captain Kim, status of your fighters? All pilots in position, Daehyun reported. Quantum phase maintained. The Imperium still shows no sign of detecting our real fleet. Hanjiwoo studied the data streaming in from the quantum nodes they had planted on the Imperium flagship. Their systems are preparing for some kind of energy pulse. I think they plan to disable our power grids as a demonstration of force. As we expected, Lee said. He straightened his formal jacket and turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to Commander Vex. It's time for our performance. The main screen lit up with the alien commander's face. His large eyes regarded Lee with the cold interest of someone watching an insect. Your deadline approaches, Vex said without greeting. Have you disabled your defense systems as instructed? Lee bowed his head slightly. We have begun the process, Commander. Our technology is not as centralized as yours. We need a few more hours to complete the shutdown safely. Vex's expression hardened. You have had sufficient time. No extensions will be granted. He turned to speak to someone off screen, then faced Lee again. We will provide motivation for you to work faster. The screen went dark. Here it comes, Han said, watching her monitors. Energy buildup in their main weapons array. Lee looked at Park. Doctor? Park smiled slightly and pressed a series of commands into his console. Quantum shields active but masked. They'll think their attack succeeded. Outside, high above Earth's atmosphere, the Imperium flagship released a pulse of energy that spread across the planet like a wave. In cities around the world, lights flickered for exactly 3 seconds, then stabilized, exactly as Park had programmed them to do. On the command screen, Vex reappeared. For the first time, he looked slightly confused. A partial success, he murmured almost to himself. Curious. He raised his voice. Your primitive defense systems have been temporarily disrupted. This was merely a demonstration. Complete the shutdown immediately, or we will use full power. We understand, Lee said, allowing fear to enter his voice. Please give us just 1 hour. 1 hour, Vex agreed. Then we begin the integration process with or without your cooperation. The screen went dark again. The moment the connection ended, Lee's submissive posture vanished. He turned to the others with determination in his eyes. Begin operation. Quantum strike. Around the room, officers relayed commands to forces hidden throughout the solar system. The greatest counterattack in human history had begun. The first phase was simple but effective. Every communication link between Imperium ships suddenly went dead. The quantum nodes that Han's team had planted had mapped their entire communication network. Now those same nodes were broadcasting interference patterns on exactly the right frequencies. In space, Admiral Jang gave the order from the lunar base. Quantum cannon, online. Target their flagship's propulsion systems. Firing sequence Alpha. Beneath, the lunar surface, Earth's most powerful weapon charged with a low hum. The quantum cannon did not fire conventional projectiles. Instead, it targeted the very fabric of space-time, disrupting the quantum field around its target. Fire, Zhang ordered. The beam was invisible to normal sight, but the effects were immediate and dramatic. The massive Imperium flagship suddenly seemed to shudder, its elegant movement through space halting abruptly. On board the Imperium ships, confusion spread quickly. Commander Vex shouted orders that could not be transmitted to other vessels. Engineers tried to restart engines that seemed perfectly functional, but somehow could not engage with normal space. Then came the second phase of Earth's attack. Across here, the solar system, Daehyun's quantum fighters shifted from their hidden state into normal space. One moment, space around the Imperium fleet was empty. The next, hundreds of Earth fighters surrounded each alien vessel. All squadron leaders report, Daehyun commanded from his flagship fighter. Eagle Squadron in position around their command vessels. Phoenix Squadron surrounding their weapons platforms. Dragon Squadron has containment on their supply ships. One by one, each squadron reported ready. The Imperium fleet, which had arrived with such confidence, now found itself completely surrounded by fighters that had appeared from nowhere. Daehyun opened a channel to all Imperium vessels. This is Captain Kim Daehyun of Earth's Defense Forces. Your ships are now immobilized. Your weapon systems are neutralized. Earth is not surrendering today or any day. Inside the Imperium flagship, Vex stared in disbelief at the screen showing Earth fighters surrounding his fleet. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is primitive. We studied them for years. Sir, his second-in-command reported, we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database. They're using some kind of technology we've never encountered. How? Vex demanded. How could they hide this from us? The answer came from his own communication system, which suddenly activated on its own. Dr. Park Junho's face appeared on the screen. We've been studying your technology since you first entered our galaxy, Park said, his voice calm but carrying an edge of pride. Your advanced systems rely on principles we surpassed decades ago. Your threat assessment of Earth was incomplete, Vex slammed his fist on the console. This is a temporary setback. Our fleet has conquered thousands of worlds. You cannot hope to defeat the entire Imperium. Perhaps not, Park acknowledged. But today we're not trying to defeat your entire empire, just this fleet. All across the solar system, Earth's true defenses revealed themselves. The quantum shield network, previously invisible, now shimmered around Earth like a protective bubble. The lunar base opened like a flower, revealing the massive quantum cannon. Hidden bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan activated, each targeting different sections of the Imperium fleet. Instead of targeting the alien ships directly, Earth's attack focused on their command and control systems. Quantum pulses disrupted their navigation. Targeted electromagnetic bursts scrambled their internal communications. Within hours, the mighty invasion fleet hung dead in space, the crews unharmed but completely powerless. In the command center, Han watched the data streams with growing excitement. It's working. Their systems are shutting down ship by ship, Ali allowed himself a small smile. And their casualties? Minimal, General Kang reported. As ordered, we targeted systems, not life support. Good, Li said firmly. We are not like them. We do not conquer. We defend. Daehyun's voice came through the command channel. All Imperium vessels have been neutralized. The flagship is completely isolated. What are your orders, Council Chair? Li looked around at the tired but triumphant faces of Earth's defenders. Prepare a boarding party. It's time to negotiate with Commander Vex from a position of strength. Han stood. I should go. I understand their language patterns better than anyone. Li nodded. Very well. Captain Kim will escort you. As the boarding party prepared, Admiral Zhang sent a final message from the lunar base. It was broadcast to every human settlement in the solar system, from Earth to the mining colonies on the outer moons. People of Earth, this is Admiral Zhang Hyuk. The alien fleet has been contained. Earth is safe. I repeat, Earth is safe. Across the planet, celebrations began. Humanity had faced its greatest test and had not merely survived, it had triumphed. 6 months had passed since the day Earth defeated the Galactic Imperium fleet. The morning sun shone through the tall windows of the Grand Council chamber, once the flagship of the Imperium fleet, now transformed into Earth's first interstellar embassy. Han Jiwoo stood before the assembled representatives of the Galactic Imperium Council. Her formal diplomatic uniform felt stiff and uncomfortable, but she kept her posture straight and her expression calm. Behind her stood a delegation of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, and military officers. "The terms of the peace treaty are fair," Han said, her voice clear and confident. "Earth demands recognition as a sovereign system, free from any imperium, control or influence. In return, we will not expand our territory beyond the Sol system without proper diplomatic channels." The Imperium representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Being forced to negotiate with a species they had planned to conquer was clearly a new and unpleasant experience for them. The head counselor, an elderly alien with pale blue skin and wise eyes, leaned forward. "And if we refuse these terms? Then we keep your ships and your technology," Han replied simply. "And we continue to reverse engineer your faster-than-light drive systems. Our scientists tell me they are making excellent progress." The counselor exchanged glances with his colleagues. Everyone in the room knew this was not a real choice. The Imperium had lost nearly 1/3 of its military power when Earth captured their invasion fleet. They could not afford to lose the technology as well. "Very well," the counselor said finally. "The Galactic Imperium recognizes Earth and the Sol system as a sovereign territory. But know this, Dr. Han. The galaxy is vast and full of dangers, greater than us. You may come to regret your isolation." Han smiled slightly. "We never said we wanted isolation, counselor. We simply refused to be conquered. There is a difference." After the treaty was signed, Han returned to her quarters on the embassy station. Captain Kim Dae-hyun was waiting for her, his usually serious face breaking into a smile when she entered. "How did it go?" he asked. "They signed," Han replied, removing her formal jacket with relief. "Earth is officially recognized as independent." Dae-hyun nodded with satisfaction. "You should be proud. 6 months ago, you were translating alien signals on Europa. Now you're negotiating galactic treaties. We've all come a long way," Han said. She walked to the viewport and looked out at the stars. "Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Other species that were conquered by the Imperium are beginning to resist. Our victory has inspired them." "The Imperium won't fall easily," Dae-hyun warned. "They still control thousands of worlds." "True," Han agreed. "But their myth of invincibility is broken. That changes everything." On Earth, Admiral Jang Hyuk stood in the newly established Interstellar Defense Headquarters. Once a secret underground facility, it now operated in the open, a symbol of humanity's new place in the galaxy. "Construction of the first deep space outpost is ahead of schedule," an officer reported. "The quantum drive systems have been successfully adapted for larger vessels." "Excellent," Jang replied. "And the training program for new pilots?" "Captain Kim has approved the curriculum. The first class begins next month." Jang nodded with satisfaction. In the 6 months since the victory, Earth had transformed its military doctrine. No longer focused solely on defending their home planet, they now prepared to venture into the wider galaxy. Not to conquer, but to explore, and if necessary, to protect. Meanwhile, in his lab beneath Mount Pektu, Dr. Park Junho and his team worked tirelessly. The Imperium ships had provided a treasure trove of new technological insights. Holograms of alien devices floated in the air as scientists studied and improved upon their designs. "Look at this," Park said, gesturing to a small device on his workbench. "Their translation technology is fascinating. It doesn't just convert words, it translates cultural concepts." His assistant looked impressed. "Can we replicate it?" "We can improve it," Park replied with his characteristic confidence. "But that's not the most interesting discovery. He brought up a holographic display of human and alien DNA side by side. We've been analyzing biological samples from various Imperium species. There's something unique about human quantum field interaction at the cellular level. Meaning what? The assistant asked. Meaning, Park said slowly, that humans are uniquely suited to manipulate quantum fields. It's in our biology. That's why the Imperium never developed similar technology. They physically couldn't perceive quantum states the way we can. The discovery spread quickly through Earth's scientific community. It helped explain why humanity had developed quantum technology while the seemingly more advanced Imperium had not. Some called it luck, others called it destiny. Either way, it gave humans a unique advantage in the galaxy. In the Global Council chamber in Seoul, Council Chair Lee Min-soo addressed the assembled leaders of Earth. His hair had grown more gray in the past 6 months, but his voice remained strong and clear. For centuries, humanity looked to the stars and wondered if we were alone. Now we know the galaxy is full of life, but also full of threats. The Imperium thought they could simply add us to their collection. Instead, they awakened something they never expected, a species that refuses to be conquered, that values freedom above all else. Lee walked to a large window overlooking the rebuilt city. We have established our first interstellar embassy. Captain Kim will lead our first diplomatic mission to nearby star systems. Dr. Han has been appointed as our chief xenolinguist and ambassador, and Dr. Park continues to advance our understanding of quantum technology. He turned back to face the council. But this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, with dangers and wonders we can barely imagine. We must proceed with courage, but also with wisdom. After the meeting, Lee walked with General Kang through the memorial garden that had been planted to honor those few humans who had died during the brief conflict. "Do you think we're ready?" Kang asked quietly. "For whatever else is out there?" Lee considered the question carefully. "Ready? Perhaps not. But we're learning. And we've proven that humanity cannot be underestimated." Across the solar system, humanity continued to build and prepare. The captured Imperium flagship, now renamed New Horizon, was being retrofitted as Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Quantum communication relays were being established to maintain contact with the planned outposts in nearby star systems. In what had once been the Imperium flagship's command center, now the Earth Embassy's main hall, a new plaque was installed. Carved from stone taken from every continent on Earth, it bore a simple message in multiple human languages and in the common tongue of the galaxy. Earth to Galactic Empire. Access denied. Under these words in smaller text was a quote that captured the spirit of humanity's new chapter. "We came not to conquer the stars, but to live among them. We ask not for submission, but for respect. We offer not threats, but friendship to those who wish peace, to those who do not. Remember, Earth." As Han read these words, standing beside Daehyun in the quiet hall, she felt a sense of both pride and responsibility. Humanity had defended its home and earned its place among the stars. Now they faced an even greater challenge, proving they deserved it. "What happens next?" Daehyun asked softly. Han looked up at the star map that showed the vast galaxy spreading out before them, filled with countless worlds and civilizations waiting to be discovered. "We explore," she said simply. "We learn, we grow, and we never forget what we're fighting for." Beyond the viewport, the stars beckoned, and humanity, no longer afraid, prepared to answer their call. The end.